Hello everybody, welcome back to my little corner of the internet where I will talk about the stories of my life, my work both as a comic book author and a translator, my cats Hey Hey, Serengeti and Conidella, and the occasional movie, book or TV series review and recommendation, as well as some rants if the feeling hits. And right now we are still on Tollywood because it is a rabbit hole, and a rabbit hole that I am very happy exploring. Last time we talked about a wonderful family who only had a tiny little issue with communication. A story about how family love can overcome everything and anything that is thrown their way as long as they are together. Today's movie's family is not quite like that. In fact, at least for 3/4 of the running time, it's precisely the opposite. Here we will see what happens when one bad apple spoils the bunch, how a child's life can be ruined by a bad adult in their lives, and how deep trauma can make the gentlest of souls become embittered. How the choices we make can and will affect those who we are in charge of raising, be our children or the children around ourselves, and, most importantly, how we can try and make things change if we are given the chance. A chance that we should never waste. Let's talk about Jai Lava Kusa, and how a brotherly bond can't be broken, but that doesn't mean it cannot be strained. First things first. I have a huge bias for Jai Lava Kusa. It's probably my favorite movie starring Junior NTR, Tarak, after RRR, because I will always and forever love RRR more, as it was the first one of him that I saw, same as with Ram Charan's filmography. But Jai Lava Kusa, or GLK as some fans call it, especially when writing, it's probably the best acting Junior NTR has done so far, hands down. The man has done some great movies. I have already talked about The Incredible Temper and the hard-hitting, if not that good, Narashimudu, but trust me, Tarak has 34 movies already, 4 more in post-production, and I am not going to run out of his movies to recommend anytime soon, although I will not do them all at once, promise. But Jai Lava Kusa is probably the best, both in script and his acting. GLK was his 27th project and was announced on his birthday, May 20 of 2016, although it was not until October of the same year where a director was announced for it, and it didn't even have a concept, let alone a script. Apparently, according to Behind Woods, originally Tarak was going to play a blind man, which, while interesting as an idea, and I do hope that he does it one day, has nothing to do with GLK at all. It was not until December of that year when Tarak's brother, Kailan Ram, announced that NTR 27, which was the working title of the movie, would be directed by K.S. Ravindra, who had 7 movies under his belt at the time, and more importantly, that it would be produced by himself under the family production company NTR Arts, which has produced many of Tarak's movies since then. After that, it had some delays, because Tarak was asked to be the host of Big Boss Season 1, which meant he could not film Jai Lava Kusa, which still had no official title, but at least people knew that Tarak would be playing not 1 but 3 roles in the movie itself. Due to the subject theme of the movie, the production house wanted to release it in the Dussehra festivity, which in the north of India commemorates the victory of Rama over the demon king Ravana, who had kidnapped his wife Sita. This is quite important for the Jai Lava Kusa plot, as we will see later, although in the south of India, where GLK was filmed, it celebrates Durga vanquishing Mahishasura, and I just know I just butchered that pronunciation, sorry about that. However, despite all the delays, it ended up being ready a bit earlier, on September 21, 2017, to 975 screens on Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, 225 screens in Karnataka and the rest of India, and even 190 screens in the USA, where I am very angry that no one made enough buzz for more people to meet Tarak before RRR. Point was, at the time, GLK was the biggest release of Tarak's career, and boy, I will insist, it delivered. A lot. Considering that the budget was about 45 crore, 450 million rupees, and broke back about 150 crore, we can say it was a big success. It was also very well received by the critics, although everyone kept the rating under 3.5 stars out of 5. But the one thing that every critic agreed on was that whatever else you thought of the plot, the fight scenes, the music, and everything around Tarak, the only real reason to wait Jai Lava Kusa was Tarak and his amazing acting as the titular characters. Although I will say the music is amazing, seriously. I love the soundtrack. But then I love the whole movie. Sorry about that. Now, Jai Lava Kusa was not the first time we saw Tarak do more than one character in a movie, although he had kept it to double roles before. Besides the usual, main actor also plays the father of the main character in flashback when the father is dead, double roles like in Andrawala and Sakti. We also had him playing twins in Aladu, where both of the twins, Kartik and Murugan, are a joy to watch, even if they're a bit similar in personality, and the very, 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 very bad Adurs, which, yes, it's bad, but I will talk about it in the future, where he plays Chari with an incredible gusto and his usual charisma, and Nari as... well, there is not much to say about Nari. I will expand on that when we get to Adurs, but for now I will just say that unless you become an over fan of Tarak as I have become, avoid Adurs. Trust me. Except for Chari. Chari makes the whole movie be worth it in my opinion. But anyway, let's go back to Jai Lava Kusa. All those examples had the problem that, with the exception of Nari and Chari, all the roles were similar in personality. The parents in particular tend to be Generation Xerox. So I don't blame anyone from thinking that Jai Lava Kusa would have the same issues only multiplied by 3 rather than 2. But that would be horribly wrong. The titular Jai Lava Kusa are triplets, and they are so different that at times I swear it is easy to forget that they are played by the same actor. Which is really tricky because while they start looking somewhat different due to their hair lengths and clothing choices, the plot at some points make them look completely identical, and yet you can mostly tell who is who just by Tarak's body language and sometimes the way he speaks, even if you do not understand Telugu. While I totally agree that the best and real reason to watch Jai Lava Kusa is Tarak, the music, which was composed by Devi Sri Prasad DSP, is epic. I mean, DSP is usually a guarantee for great music. In this channel, we have already talked about his work in Rangashtalam. But here, oh my god, there is not a single track that is not gorgeous, with the possible exception of Tring Tring, Lava's song, which is catchy and poppy, but not anything to write home about. However, Dochesta, which is Kusa's theme, Ravana, which is Jay's theme, and Swing Sara, which is the item song, they are all incredible, and I really recommend you to listen to them even without the context of the movie. They are going to end up in your brain forever. But moving on to the movie. Once again, because these movies need a lot of context if you haven't seen them, I'm going to give detailed spoilers for at least the first hour and a half, all the way to the interlude, and a bit beyond, to be honest. Because of that, not only here I give my usual spoiler alert, but also I want to remind you that if I say anything that makes you want to see the movie, stop my video right there, just leave a like and a comment, let me know if you like this, and go hunt Jai Lava Kusa. Currently, it has been seen with subtitles if you have a subscription to Soon NXT, but to be honest, the streaming services in the USA are starting to realize that there is an audience for Desi movies in general, so hopefully they will arrive soon to their catalogs without the need of a VPN or, find if Uncle Steed has it in his ship's library. And boy, that is an obscure reference that only I get. Our story begins in the past 20 years or so. We never get a specific date, so I'm spitballing. When we meet Jai, Lava and Kusa, 10-year-old triplets who happen to work as child actors at the theater troupe owned by their uncle. Well, Lava and Kusa work as child actors, and are quite popular and beloved by everyone who sees their theater troupe because they are adorable. Jay, however, no matter how much he wants to be a part of the plays, and the fact that he is as adorable as his brothers because they are identical, is constantly shoved off to the side by his uncle, because while he is identical to Lava and Kusa physically, he has a slight stutter, made worse when he is nervous, that makes it impossible for him to recite the long dialogues of the Ramayana chapters they present to their audience, so his uncle, well, he has not only put him in the backstage or in humiliating silent roles such as Demon Number 3 or The Donkey, he has also managed to convince everyone that he only has twin nephews, not triplets, and treats Jay as a servant, calling him Despair. I don't like Jay, Lava, and Kusa's uncles very much, because he also encourages Lava and Kusa to make fun of Jay's stutter. Still, Jay's life is not completely devoid of love. He craves the applause that his brother gets, yes, but he has his mother, who never makes fun of him and instead teaches him all about Lord Rama and his battles against evil. Unfortunately, when she tells him the story of the multi-headed Ravana and why he hates Lord Rama so much, she tells him that it was because Lord Rama insulted Ravana's sister by cutting her nose and ear off, and Jay got the exact wrong lesson out of it. That Ravana was right to take revenge for such an insult to his sister. And this is foreshadowing about how Jay feels about his brothers, but we will get to that later. When the triplets' mothers die, their uncle keeps their preferential treatment towards the youngest Lava and Kusa, not even caring to console Jay, who, because of tradition, has to lead his mother's funeral pyre. So that night, while Lava portrays Lord Rama and Kusa Hanuman in the scene where Hanuman leads fire to Lord Rama's place by accident, Jay takes his revenge and sabotages the scene, burning the stage to the ground. 20 years later, in the province of Odisha, a group of men attack a mansion. However, their actual target, a man they call Ravana, is not there. Another man tries to stop them, but is captured, and before he's killed, he laughs at his attackers, boasting that they are such cowards that they could only attack the house when Ravana wasn't home, and that even a glimpse of a painting of him makes them tremble. But enough about that. The movie then moves on to introduce us to a grown-up Kusa in the amazing musical number Dochesta. Why is it amazing? Well, because Dochesta means I will steal it. And it's basically Kusa dancing with a crowd, swearing to everyone that he will steal everything from the onlookers. All their worries, all their problems, all their pains, everything will be gone when he's around. And when the song ends, he disappears, having stolen everything of value the crowd has. Yeah, in the time between the fire and now, Kusa has become a very talented thief. He met with a friend and a very corrupt lawyer at the nightclub in order to make a payment with his stolen goods, and we find out that Kusa has a dream. He wants to go to the USA to have a much better life by stealing crores of dollars, not crores of rupees. As other thugs steal his money before he can pay the lawyer, he gets into a fight with them, proving that he is not just good at pickpocketing, but also at ass-kicking. Unfortunately, as he is about to get his money back, a news reports interrupt the fight to inform that, due to India's economy troubles at the time, November 2nd, 2016, all the bills for 500 and 1000 rupees will not be valid anymore, which renders all of Kusa's monies worthless. Fuming, Kusa leaves with his friend to Hyderabad, and they get into a car accident. Fortunately, the driver is only lightly hurt, but unconscious. Unfortunately, Kusa knows his face very well, as it's identical to his own. Yes, the man he crashed into is none other than his brother Lava. So Kusa takes Lava to the hospital, and when Lava wakes up, he hooks Kusa to Kusa's anger. We find out that Lava thought that he had died in the fire, but instead Kusa reveals that after the theater exploded, he fell on the police station, where he was blamed for the fire because it went out of control and destroyed the whole town. He was then sent to jail for years, where he was treated like a clown to entertain everyone. And there is a very dark line where Kusa mentions that he was used like an ATM machine, but it's never mentioned again. He doesn't tell Lava what he does know for a living, but we, the audience, can guess how he went from being released and treated like a complete orphan, since no one of his family ever came to contact him, to becoming the lovable pickpocket we know now. An adorable pickpocket who is very angry that Lava is alive and never once thought of looking for him. Lava's story is very different. As he was trapped in the stage as Lord Drama, he lost consciousness due to smoke inhalation, but was thankfully found by a firefighter who rescued him and decided to adopt him because, again, no one from their family came forward to find if any of the triplets had survived. I mean, we know that the uncle cared nothing for Jay, but one would think that he'd care for his 2 golden geese. Said firefighter raised Lava to be a good man, an honest man, and paid his education so that now Lava is a bank manager. A bank manager with some problems because he's not just honest, he's incredibly gullible. And thus he has approved some loans that have not been paid, and the management of the bank is starting to get really angry about that. And not only that, he also fell in love with his marriage broker and decided to declare his love for her right when he was getting engaged to another girl. Of course, that made both girls hate him, and, well, as I said, he's in trouble with his bosses, and that is why he was thinking that his life was over. Which is when Kusa, who is far smarter than he looks like, makes a plan. Not so much to help his brother, although that is his excuse, but to help himself to the money that he needs to go to America. Lava explains to Kusa that, besides that thing with the Mara broker named Priya, he is really in trouble with his bosses because of one specific loan. A loan of 1 crore to a man who swore that it would be used to restore a lake and water supply, but was instead used to create a beer factory. Not only that, the loan was never repaid, and if Lava doesn't get the money back, he's out of a job and maybe headed to jail. Kusa fakes interest because he's still angry at what he sees as Lava abandoning him for so many years, and proposes a plan. So that Lava can concentrate on winning Priya back, because even if she's engaged to marry someone else, Kusa convinces Lava that as long as the marriage is not consummated, he still has a chance. Kusa can take his place in the bank and get the loan money repaid, being a little bit more assertive than Lava. In order to do so, he cuts his long hair and shaves, and proves that he's still a great actor as he managed to fool his accomplice by acting meek in the morning, and Lava agrees to the plan, thinking Kusa, being his brother, has only his best interests at heart. I mentioned that Lava is incredibly gullible. Seriously, that man probably is still sending money to email scammers. Of course, Kusa's real plan is to get access to the bank vault, where he can get all the new bills to recover the money he got to the USA, and then leave Lava to deal with the fallout, just like he feels that Lava left him to deal with the fallout of the accidental fire. Because at this point, both Kusa and Lava still think that the fire in the theater was an accident. Kusa's plan has a small snag when he tries to get to the vault, because since other bank managers had tried exactly the same thing he wanted to do, the higher authorities had cut all access to the vaults until all the money was accounted for. But he still manages to get not 1 crore, but 5 from the same conman that conned Lava for just 1. Here is where I mentioned that, in case you didn't know this before, 1 crore is how Telugu counts 10 millions. So yeah, so far, Kusa has managed to rob 80 million rupees, and we're still in the first hour of the plot. What I am saying is that Kusa is one hell of a thief and very quick to think on his feet. One thing that I love is that in these scenes where Kusa is pretending to be Lava, we always see him driving a different vehicle. Vehicles that he stole including my two personal favorites, a just married car with the bride still in, and what seems to be a mobile shrine, followed by the priests. It's a running joke that Kusa steals everything, and it's amazing. Anyway, the next day, after Kusa managed to get the money, Lava, who has managed to get Priya to forgive him and also to agree to marry him in the song Tring Tring, which, as I said, is not the best song of the bunch, wakes up to see that Kusa is leaving because he wants to pray to thank for Lava's love story success. But just as Kusa has barely managed to disappear from his life, a group of cops come with Priya's family and arrest Lava for kidnapping and money laundering, which is when Lava finally clues in about Kusa's real intentions. Even worse, as Priya's sister recognizes him as the man who took her sister, Lava figures out that Kusa, for some reason, must have kidnapped Priya. Heartbroken at Kusa's betrayal, he lets himself be arrested, hoping that he can clear everything out. Except that as they are going to the police station, suddenly the police car climbs into a truck, and there he finds out that the police commissioner already knows that Lava has at least a twin brother because he has Kusa tied up too. Furious, Lava confronts Kusa, who is also angry because he thinks that Lava took his money when it was hidden in Lava's house because his accomplice, who is not there, saw Lava replace the money. Only he didn't say anything because he thought Lava was Kusa. Lava refuses to listen, insisting that Kusa had to have taken Priya because no one else looks like them. Which is when Kusa, who I insist is quite smart, realizes the truth. If Kusa survived the fire and Lava survived the fire, then it's clear that Jai also survived the fire. They are interrupted by the police commissioner, who is obviously not a cop and has now changed clothes into a more traditional lungi, who yells at them not to call him Jai, as he is now known as Maharaja Ravana or King Ravana. Indeed, where Kusa grew to be a thief and Lava a bank manager, Jai ran away from the theater troupe and became a ruthless killer and the leader of a huge carbon mining operation which brought him to become the de facto ruler of Odisha, earning him many, many enemies both in the criminal underworld and the high ends of corrupt politics. Worse, the fake commissioner, whose real name is Kaka and is Ravana's second-in-command, tells them that the only reason why Jai became such a cruel man is how they treated him when they were children, always putting him behind, never looking at him. More importantly, it is then when Kaka reveals to them that the fire was caused by Jai, who wished to kill them all. Kaka explains how two of Ravana's enemies got together and asked the help of a local minister, but Ravana, in his incredibly cruelty and understanding of how power works, turned things around by showing the minister that helping him would, in the end run, be cheaper and more effective. Sakar, the minister, joined forces with Ravana, which brought even more power to the crime lord, but what Jai deep down wanted was the admiration of the people, so he decided that he'd become a minister himself. Unfortunately, when he tells this to Sakar, Sakar's son made fun of Ravana's stuttering, so Ravana replying by cutting his tongue, which of course brought him into a war with Sakar, who immediately retaliated, waiting for Ravana to leave his mansion and attacking it, killing Ravana's right-hand man, Tapan. This makes Tapan's sister, Simran, swear revenge of Ravana and try to kill him in her brother's funeral, to no results. And yes, when I talk about Jai as a crime lord, I call him Ravana, and when I talk him about the person he is, I call him Jai, because it's easier for me to keep the two separated, even if it's the same person. Also here we have the opening scene in a new context, because that was Tapan's death. Now, considering that everybody hates Ravana, like everybody, people curse him when he passes by them and spit on him if they could, well, if they were not horribly afraid of him. And seeing that he's not going to bow his head and be patient with the people in order to win their votes, Ravana suddenly finds Lava profile in the marriage bureau site and makes a plan to use Lava. Then he finds out that Kusa is also alive and decided to use them both for his plans, taking both Kusa's money and kidnapping Priya so that they would have to accept his terms no matter what. As they reach Ravana's mansion, Jay presents himself to them with one of the speeches from the dramas where he had not been allowed to participate, stutter and all, making both Lava and Kusa feel afraid that he will murder them. This is a common thing. In particular, Kusa is terrified of Jay, like absolutely terrified. He calls him the demon, and with good reason. It is then when Jay informs of his plan. He wants them to play a role for him. Lava is to play Ravana in the election campaign and make him win if he wants Priya to leave. On the other hand, if Kusa wants his money back, he must pretend to be Jay and seduce Simran so that she will accept to marry Jay, despite her wanting to kill him. Lava agrees for Priya's sake, and Kusa only accepts after being threatened, so they know how to get ready by looking like Jay. In the house, they find that their uncle also survived the fire, was found by Jay, and now is his slave, making sure that no mosquito enters the Lanka, making clear that all of Jay's actions are for revenge as how mistreated he was in his youth, which in turn makes Lava, the most empathic of the brothers, start to think about what they did when they were young and how wrong it was. Also, Lava, being such a soft-hearted man, starts having a lot of problems when he sees how much the people in the neighboring towns hate Jay. Which is nothing like the problems that Kusa faces with Simran, because the second she sees him, well, she pulls out a gun and chases him around her college, shooting at him. Yes, Kusa is having the worst part, I think. Trying to find his money, Kusa discovers that Jay has a room full with theater props, some of them made with real gold, and tries to convince Lava to escape with that gold and Priya before the demon notices, but Lava refuses. Instead, he tells Kusa that they were the ones who killed Jay's love in his heart, as he remembers how, when they were children, Jay was always there to protect him and Kusa. And yes, it is true, then we see a montage how, no matter what, Jay was always there for his brothers, and he received punishment and pain just to keep them safe and happy. While Kusa is sure that nothing is going to work, and in fact decides that the best way to survive is to tell Simran the truth about his identity in order to fool Jay and escape with his money, and let Simran kill Jay, Lava is now determined to make Jay back to how he was, to show Jay how sorry he is for what they done, and, more importantly, make his brother love them again. Thus, the race begins, between Kusa trying to escape, Simran trying to kill Jay, and Lava trying to make their brothers see that they are far stronger together than how they were on their own. Jai Lava Kusa is a movie with many layers. The main theme is, of course, the brotherly bond, but there is also a lot to say about how we, as a society, tend to push kindness and warmth away. In the words of the movie narration, we don't know when our actions can make a Jay turn into Ravana, and I believe that is something to be considered long after the movie is over. On the other hand, as I keep saying, this movie proves what great actor Tarak is. The three brothers have very distinct personalities, speech patterns, and body language, which makes it clear who is who even when they are dressed the same, and makes the final plot twist be one hell of a twist. Whenever the brothers are pretending to be each other, they have very small tells, but you have to rewatch the movie to notice them. If not, they meld into each other, but only when they are pretending to be each other. Lava is very good at pretending he's Ravana. Kusa, not so much, so he needs babysitters. And It's one of the movies that has a very good rewatch value because you start noticing little things like the constant running theme of Kusa stealing everything he can, even when he doesn't need to. I totally need a Kusa backstory movie because he's quite interesting. Lava is not as interesting, and the movie is mostly about Jay. So yeah, I need a Kusa backstory, please. Yes. So really, this is the Tarak movie you need to watch if you haven't watched any besides RRR. Trust me, is it a trip? And you will end up humming the Ravana theme at the end. I want to thank my dear patrons Mitch Hyman, Ellen Ho, Jessica and Ellie Riley, as well as my first supporter Tania Pineda and the most amazing Amy Song, without whom none of my videos would be possible. I also want to remind you that if you want to support this and my other projects and get your name mentioned here, you can do so at patreon.com/Adalisa with a link on the description, as I know my name can be hard to spell, and with just $1 a month, you will always be thanked in my videos, as well as get access to a ton of art before anyone else, and get the chance to suggest future subjects for videos. You can also support me through Ko-fi, and for each coffee, you will get mentioned in 3 future videos. If you can't support me this way, I also accept likes, subscriptions to the channel, and of course, you sharing the links. I also welcome all your questions, feedbacks, and suggestions in the comments below. This was Adalisa Zarate, and I will see you soon so we can grab another cup of chai as we get to see the effects of found family and the concept of Dharma in Achaira.